Hello, everybody. This is Aaliyah Mims, and I am trying out Facebook Live for the first time. And I decided today, since I was already recording some audio for my podcast, I'm like, let me go ahead and try Facebook Live just to see what this is all about. And if you're joining me, then I guess I'm going to see your comments below. So if you're here, give me a wave, give me a hi, just because I'm trying to figure out how this Facebook Live works and what's the benefit of this over Periscope. This is kind of weird. So I think I have one viewer there. This is so strange to me because I'm used to having Periscope and seeing names pop up and all those hearts, but that's okay. If you are new to me being audio, my name is Aaliyah Mims and I am a success coach. And today on this I keep used to saying Periscope, on this Facebook Live, I'm going to talk about the 3 biggest misconceptions that I had with success and how I overcame it. So I'm multitasking here. I have my microphone going. I have my different apps going, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. So I was reading this report the other day, and it was talking about how 84% of people who responded to this report said that they were not living the career of their dreams. And I was shocked because I thought the number was going to be much higher, especially when we consider all of the people that go to school for advanced degrees, that I thought that more people would be living the career of their dreams. And it was really a sobering reality, because what it made me realize is that as I was reading more through this study was that a lot of people didn't even know what it meant to live the life of their dreams. This poll was asking people, did they think that having fun on their jobs was important, having coworkers that they liked was important, and all the numbers were very scattered. So what it showed me was that people really don't know what it means to live the life of their dreams. And so today, what I'm going to help you do is we're going to talk about what are the 3 biggest misconceptions that are holding people back from living this dream. What does it mean to be successful? And then what are some of the things that you need to put into place today so that you can start living that dream and living a life of satisfaction and fulfillment? If you are new to me, I am Aaliyah Mims. I am a success coach. And what I do is I help professional women kick fear in the butt so they can really develop clarity, strategy, and habits so they can level up and live that life of their dreams personally and professionally. I want to start off and talk a little bit about how I came to this work and how I really stumbled upon it, because I, just like many of you, had a lot of misconceptions about what it meant to be successful. Growing up, I thought being successful meaning that everybody likes you and that you're rich. That's what I saw growing up. I went to this really private elite school in California. And when I looked at my peers and looked at the people who were in their families and my teachers, to me, that's what success was. And I'm like, I didn't think I could be like them, but I didn't feel successful because I wasn't rich. I didn't have a daddy who was the head of a corporation. In fact, my family was growing up in poverty at the time. And I was in a city that had the highest murder rate per capita in the country in 1992. So I knew that that idea of success was far away from me. Also, I grew up in a culture that almost demonized being rich and being successful. If you grew up in the traditional Black church, you knew that we grew up believing that if you were rich, you couldn't get into heaven, and that people who were rich were corrupt and bad. So I had this mixed feeling about, on one hand, I knew I wasn't successful, but on the other hand, my culture and my religion was saying that being rich and being successful was bad. And it almost became that poverty was an act of nobility. We all knew what it sounded like to say, you know, this life will be over soon and we're going to be in heaven. And in heaven, the streets are paved with gold. And so it was this double existence that I felt. And when I realized was that my beliefs about how I wasn't good enough, and my beliefs around that I wasn't born rich, and my beliefs around success being a bad thing really showed 3 huge problems. And I'm going to call those my 3 Ps: purpose, power, and position. Purpose, I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know what my purpose was. I had a low self-esteem, and I had a lack of belief about what I could do and that I could have any impact. The other big belief problem that I had was around power. I thought because I wasn't a rich white male, then I didn't have power, and therefore no one is going to give me access. And that goes to the third limiting belief that I had around position. Because I didn't have what I thought other people had, I didn't think that I had a stake in the game in order to be able to be successful. And with having those 3, I'm sorry, I'm trying to like not respond to the comments, but having those three limiting beliefs really allowed me to make poor choices and eventually hit rock bottom. Some of you all know me personally, but a lot of you don't. So those limiting beliefs around my purpose and around my power and around my position led me to make poor choices in relationships. Even as a young adult getting into relationships, I truly believed that someone was supposed to come save me and that I didn't have the power and the agency in order to have healthy relationships. I made poor choices with my positioning. I owned a home that truly I couldn't afford that led to foreclosure. And even though I was trying to do a few things at the time to not get into foreclosure, I thought again that I didn't have the power and I didn't have the position to make it happen. And truthfully, those limiting beliefs around purpose, power, and position also led me to make some poor choices around fertility treatments. So just a little quick background about me. I am in a same-sex relationship and I was married at the time and I wanted to have a child, which for people that are in a same-sex relationship means undergoing fertility treatments of some sort. For me, I didn't have success the first 5 times around, so I decided to go get help from a doctor and get into these different treatments. And after the treatments weren't successful, I still pushed through because I believe that in order to be a real woman or in order to be valued as a woman in this society, I needed to be a mother, and being a mother by having a child of my own or giving birth. And so really pushing through some difficult experiences and traumatic experiences really was a point or in reaction to me not feeling like I had a true purpose or not really understanding what my power was and thinking that this is something I needed to do and I had to do in order to be valued and valid. And those fertility treatments, and I'll get into that in another podcast another time, but that led to all kinds of trauma for me, and it really pushed me to my bottom. I hit my bottom after several miscarriages, after the foreclosure, after having poor relationships. And that was, again, all centered around these beliefs that I didn't have purpose, power, and position. What I didn't know at the time was that I was already a success. I was a success not because of my income at the time. I was a success not because I had 2 Ivy League degrees. I was a success not because I had the privilege of being middle class in America. I was a success, because I was already creating action and decisions that were aligned with my talent in my life. So David Nagel has this great book called The Millions Within, and he defines success as ensuring that your actions and decisions are aligned with your talent in life. I didn't know that I was already doing those things, going to schools, making decisions about my career, networking with people that were going to help put me in the next level of my career and personal ambitions, pursuing my education. I hadn't realized that those were already the actions that were putting me on a success path, and that those were going to be the actions that were going to eventually leverage my biggest gains and having that 6-figure income that I wanted when I was a child and thought that that was going to be the definition of success. Once I realized that success was already happening, then I was able to create a better vision for my life, and a better vision that reflected my position, my purpose, and my power. And not only was that success and that realization and that vision allowing me to do that, it helped me to really focus with other women and to help them get onto a path so that they can see their greatness beyond the life that they dreamed for themselves and even beyond a life that was on their resume. So here are some of the things that I started to do to take that vision and to move from that limiting beliefs and move to a place of power. I realized that a lot of people were starting to come to me and asking me for help and asking me for advice about how can they, pursue their education, how can they pursue their goals, how can they increase their position in their career, how can they network with people who were going to be influential in their marketplace. And it started off very casually, but I realized I had a gift around this, and people would come back to me frequently and say, Aaliyah, what you told me to do is working. I met with that person. I had that event. I reached out to that brand and that company, and I'm having success in ways that I didn't realize it was possible. So that was one thing I started to pay attention to. The other thing that was really important to my development was I started to seek out communities of like-minded people. that was the first time in my life in my early 30s where I moved beyond this belief that my friend circle are the people that I went to school with, are the people that I worked with, and I started to be intentional about who I was spending my time with. It started off at the time with fellow bloggers and people who were trying to grow their blog and grow their brand. It eventually started working with other therapists and coaches who were, again, trying to help other women discover and live in their purpose. And then eventually it started to be a circle of entrepreneurs who are branding themselves and becoming small business owners and pushing themselves to realize that they have, one, a market share and that they have something to say and they have influence and shapes people's ideas. So after I had that vision for my life and paid attention to my talents and sought out like-minded people, the next thing that I did for my own development was I started to invest in myself and invest in my courses. It's really interesting to me when I start to talk to people about their career choices and how they're putting a path of success in action. It's easy for us to know that we need to invest in our education and invest in our degrees. But when I say, are you putting forth that same intentionality and money into developing your skills as a coach, as a travel blogger, as an author, as an entrepreneur? Most of the time people say no. They're content with Googling and following Facebook groups to get the latest tips and then wonder why they're not getting the same kind of success that myself and so many others have had. So when I first began investing in myself and investing in courses, I started to see some changes in the way that I was showing up and in the people that I was attracting to my brand. And the biggest change for me was getting a mentor. You can read every book in the world. You can take every course, and that's an important step. But unless you have somebody running, not you guys, I'm just going to tell you now, I'm terrible with sports euphemism. But whoever that position is that runs in front of the person with the ball, that blocks their way and helps navigate their path, that's what we all need in a mentor. It's a tough world out there, and we can't do this alone. And we need to have someone who's been there and someone who has been successful and has the receipts to show it, to tell you exactly what you need to do so that you don't waste your time and you don't waste your money. So I got a mentor. I actually have two mentors. I have a mentor that's strictly helping me to develop my leadership skills and my executive coaching skills, those actual coaching and people skills. And then I have a business coach who helps me to position myself into brands so that I can have the highest impact on my clients possible. You cannot do this work without a coach and without a mentor. And between those two people, what it taught me how to do was to show up professionally. So this isn't something that's just my fun and hobby that I do on the side, or that I text people advice and answer their questions and stay up all night like I used to do. This is my business. And not only is that important because it helps me to position myself as a professional, it's also important because I'm able now to have better impact and more sustainable impact on people, because we all know that when we pay for something, we are more likely to implement it, we're more likely to take it seriously, and we're more likely to prioritize it in our life. And because I'm able to require that of my clients, I'm able to see better success in their lives and more sustained success in their lives. So when I think about those steps that I took, none of this happened because someone gave me a break. None of this happened because I was apologetic about the choices that I made in the past. None of this happened because I hit the lottery. This all happened because I decided that success is a choice, and I decided that I was going to take these actions to align my purpose and my actions. So what does this all mean for you? Because I know I have some of you all that are here that are interested and a little bit interested around what is a success coach and what does this do? I know I have some people that are trying to decide, do I need a coach, or should I just kind of keep reading the Google articles and reading the blogs? But let me tell you what you can do for your own life so that you can have that intentional, action-filled, purposeful, and powerful life that you're actually working out and that you're walking in your purpose. So I have 5 questions that I like to ask my clients, and I invite you to ask as well. Answer yourself. You might want to grab some pen and paper at this point and write these down, because these are not going to be easy questions that you can answer right away. Here's the first question that I want you to be clear with yourself about. What limiting beliefs and behaviors do you already have about power, position, and purpose? A lot of times we have limiting beliefs that we're not even aware of because they become so ingrained in our psyche because it's out of habit, it's out of what society is saying, it's out of what our culture is saying, it's out of what our families are saying. What limiting beliefs do you have about power, position, and purpose? How are you showing up professionally and personally as a result of those limiting beliefs? After you are honest with yourself about those two, I want you to answer your third question. What positive affirmative beliefs can you use in place of those limiting beliefs? And if you're unsure about what an affirmative statement is, I simply say and invite you to complete this question. I am blank. That's an affirmation. When you tell yourself who you are and what you believe, that's an affirmative statement. So what are some of the positive affirmative beliefs and statements that you can replace those limiting beliefs with? And here's a fourth one that's equally important. How are you demonstrating faith by investing in yourself? It's really easy for us to pay our bills. For some people, it's easy to pay church or to pay their tithes, and nothing is wrong with that, and those are extremely important. But how are you investing in yourself? And when you don't invest in yourself, what limiting belief is that revealing? And here's the final one that I have for you. Who are you going to learn from that's going to help you navigate your own journey? So let me give a quick recap of those 5 questions. And I can see I have some questions popping up on the screen, and I'm going to respond to those at the end, and I'm in about 2 minutes. What limiting beliefs and behaviors do you have about power, position, and purpose? How are you currently showing up publicly as a result of those limiting beliefs? What positive affirmative belief statements can you write and believe in place of those limiting ones? How are you demonstrating faith by investing in yourself? And finally, who will I learn from in order to help me navigate this journey? I have one quick tip for you, or one tool and resource for you that's a no-cost one. If you are ready to show up for success and you're ready to take that first step and start to be around a mastermind and be around people that are moving in the same direction, I do invite you to join my private Facebook group, Show Up for Success with the Leah Mims. If you go ahead and type that in the search box up at the top of Facebook, I will be happy to have you as part of my success community. So at this point, I'm going to push stop on my computer so I can stop the podcast recording. And this is going to be a time for me to answer any questions that you have and also to respond to your comments. So thank you guys that have already commented below. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at those right now, as soon as I stop my recording there. All right. Okay, so let's see what I have here. Oops, excuse me. Good morning, first of all, to all the people that are there. Or is it morning or afternoon, depending on where you are? So that's one. Lack of mindsets are passed down. They absolutely are. For those of us that are in the Christian faith, we talk about generational curses. And sometimes we think about generational curses as this external thing that someone put onto us somehow. But really, generational curses can also be mindsets and beliefs and bad habits that we've witnessed growing up and that we have continued to exemplify in our life. So thank you, Brandy, for that comment, because it's absolutely true. That lack and that poverty mindset is passed down a lot of times from what we witness. Joseph said that I'm a blessing to everyone. You know, I really appreciate you all too. And you guys are equally a blessing to me. When I was recording my podcast series, originally I was doing it the traditional way. I was recording in my studio, my home office, and I missed that energy that I used to have with Periscope and interacting with folks. And so I said, let me try something different today. Let me hop on Facebook Live because it's a new platform that I haven't used before. And I need to feed off you all's energy because that's what inspires me. What inspires me is to use my gifts for service to others. And that's what keeps me going, more than the income, more than the brand influence, and more than the sponsorships. The energy and being able to fill your bucket helps fill my bucket. Hi, Trina. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, boo. And I had a good comment I saw. God gives each of us a gift before birth. Your gift is revealed to you when you start working your passion. Your gift is always about helping others and on a positive note. Yes, God is definitely opening gifts for me. And so Uncle Roy, that's my uncle, you guys. That's another podcast that's coming up about how you can be clear about what your gifts are and what your talents are, because you're absolutely right. Your talents, not only do they make room for your abundance, they have to be of service. And that's why God gives us those talents, so that we can be of service to others. And if you can't use what you're good at and what you're talented at in service to others, then that's not truly your talent yet. But I'm going to talk about how you can be clear about what your talents are and how you can use them as service in my next podcast. So I hope you guys join me for that one. Do you guys have any questions that I can answer for you? Okay. So here's my last little thing. I have so many cool new tools for my podcast. I'm a gadget geek. I grew up in Silicon Valley, so that's just what I do. And so I'm looking excited because I'm looking beyond my screen right here and looking at my new lighting and my new pop filter and my new microphone. But if you don't have any more questions, again, I invite you to join my private mastermind group, Show Up for Success with the Leah Mims. And until next time, thank you guys so much for being part of my inaugural audience for Facebook Live. Thank you, and I'll see you on the other side.